What's happening, guys? Back for another Modified Rides podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Brandon Burrell. Today, I had to bring in another photographer we can discuss some automotive photography. Kind of a big up and coming name. If you've listened to some of the past podcasts, he's been brought up before. This week, I've got on Adam Cooper. What's going on, Adam?
What's up, man? How you doing?
So you're out of you said Tampa, Florida area,
Yes, sir.
and what is the name of your photography company?
Creative Customs FL. Because
How'd you come up with that?
So what's funny is this was actually supposed to be a wrap shop whenever I first started the company. Got into a really, really bad business deal with someone that was not who I thought he was. So then I kind of pivoted, worked for somebody for a year after that, and then fully went on my own. So it's funny, it was Creative Customs because it was supposed to be vehicles, which ultimately still ended up working because I still do like vehicle wrap design and I still shoot all the automotive stuff. So honestly, it still worked out perfect.
So I always start back. What got you into custom vehicles? Which your story is a little different than mine. Like you've not grown up building vehicles, but now you're in the custom vehicle world. So when did you first know this is something I need to be involved with?
So I actually started off whenever I was getting into photography. I would go downtown and go shoot like photos in Tampa, stuff like that, and just it wasn't even my camera; it was my buddy's camera. So then I would actually use this camera more than he did. So then after about 6 months or so, I bought my own camera, and then I had a buddy who did a lot of show or car show content. So then I would go to just random cars and coffees and automotive shows, stuff like that, and go shoot just random cars and try and connect with people and get my name out there. So then I started with cars. I really loved it. Started branching into more stuff, and then I just kind of got lucky with going to a truck show at Daytona's last truck show that they had, the really huge one, and met some people out there, had some good connections, and I was like, you know what, this is really cool because I'd never ever saw anything like that before. I come from more of a design background, stuff like that. So
Did you go to school for that?
no, I'm self-taught with everything that I know. So I've always worked really hard. I've messed up a lot, but I've also learned a lot because that's the only way to learn is doing some dumb shit, and then it goes from there.
And you're young in the whole scheme of things. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 25, about to be 26.
Baby.
I know, it's great though. I mean, look, I'm still young and fresh, but it's good because I started my business about 4 years ago, and that was always the thing. It's like, oh, you're the youngest one in the room. You're the youngest one. They're like, I wish I was at that spot when I was at that age. Now I'm getting older, and I'm like, I feel like I'm behind now.
So what made you, if you started in the design side of it, what made you want to get into that when you were younger?
So my mom actually owned a equestrian magazine whenever I was younger. Yeah, so she had like the first international magazine in like Dubai and Ireland, stuff like that. And she had a graphic designer. So then she just gave me Photoshop when I was 8 years old, I think, to just kind of mess around with. And yeah, that was back when there was like barely a paint bucket, and there was
had Etch-a-Sketch when I was 8. We didn't have no Photoshop when I was 8.
I was the biggest nerd. I was a huge nerd. I played video games every single chance I could. So I was like, what, I'm already on the computer. So what's funny is I started doing Minecraft. I played a lot of Minecraft when I was young. So I was doing like Minecraft stuff. And then I got into, like branding things for servers and stuff like that. And then doing like custom controllers for like Xboxes. And there was a lot of different things that I did that just kind of kept upping and upping and upping it. So then I got into that, and I was like, you know what? I really want to pursue this. I really enjoyed it. Whenever I wasn't gaming, I was just making stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously had no idea what I was doing back then, but things were a lot different when Photoshop was like version 3 or 4.
Now you said you, after borrowing your buddy's camera, you went out and bought your first camera. Do you remember what that camera was?
Oh, absolutely. It just came up my memories. It was the Canon RP. And it was a great camera for what I needed. It still had the flip screen. It still had everything in it, had the autofocus, all that stuff. And it was great to learn. Maybe not as great for paid commission work, but I did like my family photos. I did a whole lot of car photography, and it did the job. And I think it was actually pretty fairly non-expensive camera. I think it was only like $1,000.
I have
Okay,
people
not
ask all
something
the
on there.
time, well, I'm looking to get an entry level camera. I'm like, I don't know. I've not looked at entry level cameras in 20 years. I have no
Yeah.
clue.
I
So
don't.
I'll,
I don't even know anymore. To be honest with you, the RP is probably what I'd recommend to everybody. That was actually when I got my first Best Buy credit card. I was like, I'm getting a credit card. I'm gonna go buy a camera.
starting out as a photographer with a Best Buy credit card, that almost sounds like an accident waiting to happen.
It was dangerous. It was dangerous. But in my mind, I'm like, I could do one photo shoot a month, and I'll pay for this. And I was
Yep.
like, I will always make it work. I will always go beg a family member and be like, Hey, can I come? Can I do your family photos? I'll just give me $100. I'll go do your family photos. And it just worked from there.
Well, since we're kind of the automotive side here, so tell us how you got into the automotive photography world. I know you said you take pictures out in Tampa and stuff, but
Yeah.
when did you first step in that you actually did something that either got the recognition online or someone hired you to do it?
So I think it was back when there was one of my older friends, Kelvin. He ran Clash of Kings, and that was like a bigger car show in Tampa.
Okay.
So I actually got hired to do one of those events, and pretty much just snowball from there. Obviously, I wasn't making a whole lot, but I got to really experience doing like event coverage with somebody else. So I was kind of like part of his team and helped him out. And you go shoot around all day and you go send 300, 400 photos, and you're like, this was the best experience ever. And I really love the automotive experience because there's so many different angles. There's so much pride that people take in building their vehicles and showing up and showing out. And I thought that was really cool because every single thing is different. There's really no vehicles that are exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
There's so many details that you can capture, so many things, and also the pride that you get from sending somebody photos of their vehicle is one of the best things. I'm sure you can 100% relate to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah,
I'll walk around any vehicle I'm doing, like even if it's the quicker stuff, like the auction stuff I do. It's like I'm always looking for that one detail that's going to stand out. Will it
yeah,
make a difference in the auction? No, but to me it will. Hopefully my client will be like, "Oh, that was cool."
yeah. And for you, it's like, wow, I capture something new, and it's like, what can I do to capture somebody's eye that nobody else has done before?
Now you have a distinct style. I think me and Dale
Yeah,
talked about this when I had Dale Martin on.
yeah,
Like everybody has their style. I remember I used to go to Books a Million or Barnes and Noble all the time and pick up every automotive magazine, cars, trucks, bikes, classics, whatever. I'd spend hours sitting in these stores a month looking at it. But yeah,
yeah,
I could flip open and look at a 2-page lead and be like, that so and so shot that before I ever read the byline. And
yep.
your style is completely, I feel, different than anybody else's. Like we all have our own look and our own style, but yours is definitely unique. So how did you come up with your unique style that set yourself apart from everybody in the beginning?
So that was really when I started photography, I was like, I want to find my style. I want to separate myself from everybody else.
And you did.
So I went through all my different stages. I went through like the orange and like bright blue look. I went through the vintage look. I went through like the subtle tone look. And then what it kind of changed my mind is I was looking at so many photos that look like strobe photos. So you have that really poppy
Yep.
subject and then you have the darker background. And I was like, I want to try and create that style without using the strobe. So because being a graphic designer, I love that style. I love the popness of the subject. And the background is just you don't really notice the background as much. You want the subject at your full focus.
Do you use strobes ever?
A few times. I don't use strobes very often because I'm still not 100%, I'm not 100% confident with them yet. That's
You
definitely
don't need them with your style, but to
no.
set up 3 lights and batteries and plug everything in and your
Yeah.
stands and move a light to get rid of a hot spot, like it's almost more time consuming to set up. But like if you have 2 or 3 vehicles to do,
Yeah.
you get it set up, then it becomes a plug and play. You're like, all right, well, I know this is going to work. All
Yeah.
your settings are right. But yeah, yours almost looks like they're strobed without being strobed. Did
Yeah.
anybody teach you that, or did you figure that out yourself?
No, honestly, I'm all self-taught with everything. I mean, I just kept doing that style and I was like, I really feel like this is what looks good because art is always subjective. It's really what you
Absolutely.
like. It is at the end of the day, it matters what your clients think, but at the end of the day, your art is what you want to portray to the world. It's how you see things through your eyes. So what do you want to portray to the world? Do you want to be in like everybody else, or do you want to have something different where they're like, oh, how'd you do that, or who did that? So that's what I tried to do with like that I call it like a cinematic moody style is
Yeah.
kind of what I like to call it. Lately, I've been kind of changing up style, doing a lot more vibrant colors and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I really edit how I'm feeling in that moment and also what the subject is. So there's sometimes not even a set style, but at the end of the day, you can really, when you see a picture, you're like, oh, Adam took that, or
Yep.
Creative Customs took that. So that's
There's
really what I wanted to do.
there's a couple guys that kind of have the same feel, I guess you would say, but yours completely stands out. Like I see one of Dale's photos stands out. One of John
Oh yeah,
Jackson's photos, like that's his photo. Kevin
yeah,
Aguilar is the same way.
yeah.
Some of those guys strobe, but like I don't think Dale even uses strobes anymore.
He does it rarely, and I mean, it's crazy because some of his where he knows how to use light so well that sometimes you're like, how did you shoot that? Like, how did you even get those details in that picture?
Yeah.
And he's been a great mentor of mine. He's a really, really great friend. I love that he's one of the people who will call me out if I'm doing something wrong, because at the end of the day, that's the only way to learn. That's the only way to be a better photographer, to be a better creative, and honestly, a better person. Like, I don't take anything offense because, I mean, I have pretty thick skin, so like there's nothing that people could say to me and be like, oh, how could you say that to me? I'd be like, okay, I mean, you're right. Like, you're probably right. I can definitely, because nobody knows everything. There's no
Yeah.
possible way to know everything. So the people who want to call me out and pick out my flaws, I love it. I love it so much.
Well, same way I was when John O'Neill did the same thing with me. He told me this sucks, that sucks, but this is good. Do more of that.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah,
when I had him on, me and him discussed that his guidance kind of pushed me to the style I shoot. And
yeah.
I almost see some of Dale's shooting in your style.
Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause I send him images sometimes. He's like, "Are you copying me?" I'm like, "No, I would never do that." But it's awesome though because he's a huge person I look up to, and someone that I've looked at his style and I'm like, "How do you do that?" So then the famous thing is like steal like an artist. You pixel peep everything. You're like, "What did they do different
Yeah.
that I can do?" And how do they light certain areas? What do they touch up post processing? I mean, I love to just zoom in and look at everything because I love to learn. I love to how to be a better photographer. Because at the end of the day, if someone's paying me for a product, I want to give the absolute best product that I can, or else you're wasting your money.
Well, I know there forever, the editors that I shot for didn't want edited photos. They wanted straight out of the camera. They had their own art department. They had to have that. They're like, no, don't edit them. Send them in the way they are. That was when I first started. That's what it was.
Oh man, I could never.
Mike Alexander was the first one. Like, hey, we're behind or whatever. Can you edit these? And I'm like, well, I mean, I've tinkered some like for my Instagram or whatever, but I've never sat down and done that. I'm like, yeah, sure. Then the next one I shot for him was a composite shoot, and I was like, I did the same thing. I sat down and taught myself how to layer a wheel onto this to make that stand out, and
Yep.
and all that. But forever the editors didn't want that. But when I started shooting, it was also all the leads were on slide film, so you couldn't edit those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, things have changed a lot.
oh yeah,
But that's funny too, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen my before and afters I post on Facebook and stuff like that.
crazy.
Yeah, so if I sent someone my before, they'd be like, "What are you sending me?" They're like, "Why would you even send this over?" I'd be like, "Just hold on a second," because I really love the underexposing. Because I mean, I have a certain way of doing things. So if I overexpose, I can't get my style. But when I underexpose, I have so much information to play with. I like the dark and then raising everything up and making it just my cinematic style.
How far under do you shoot usually?
I'll probably shoot like 1 to 2 stops. It really depends. Obviously, you always expose for the sky, but I'm the type of person where I'll shoot a few different stops for certain pictures, and then go in when I'm editing. I'll be like, all right, I like this stop a lot more. And even with me shooting for years, I still do that because not every single photo shoot is in the same lighting, the same angle, stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm always an overshooter. I'm the type of person where I'll be like, oh, I'll give you 20 photos, end up sending them 70 photos. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Oops. Yeah, oops. But I like underexposing just because I think it's more my style. But like you said, if I send the befores, they'd be like, I don't want this.
Is that your secret to how you get the crazy, crisp, bright look as you shoot under a little bit?
Yeah, I think so, because whenever you're underexposing, there's so much more information to play with in Lightroom than when you overexpose. Because
Because
when
it
you
washes everything out.
yeah, because when you overexpose, there's not as much detail in those pixels to where you can bring the information back into it. So when you underexpose, there's so much more colors and information inside of those pixels that you can mess around with.
You
So I
shoot
bring
raw?
oh, always, always. You know, I think what's funny is I don't think I've ever shot JPEG before because I did so much research on YouTube before I did start photography, and everybody's like, don't shoot JPEG, don't shoot JPEG. I'm like, all right, well,
I've,
I guess
I've,
I'll figure out shooting.
I think I've shot raw twice my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, I've
Oh
been
my
JPEG
gosh.
the whole time.
Well, I need to maybe I need to experiment then. I've only heard of shooting JPEG on like the Fuji films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My buddy does like traveling across the country, and he shoots with JPEG and the Fuji, and they look incredible.
I mean, I'm a R6 Mark II
Yeah,
Canon,
yours look great.
and I've done a few, but then it's like it's the the conversion deal and all that, and it's like, I mean, I keep saying I need to go back and try to shoot raw, but for those that aren't photographer, geeks like we are, y'all are probably like, all right, this podcast is already boring at this point. But for those that follow the photography side, there is a lot of aspects like this that, as you see, everyone shoots different.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, and everybody has a different like style of shooting. You know how they shoot, they angle their pictures. Are they dead on in the center? Because I'm definitely more of like a dead on in the center type of person. I know people love like the third rule and like the golden ratio. I'm like, I'm putting that thing right in the center. That's my style.
I do most of mine like that, but I'll throw one to the side, one to the other side, just because I know when you have that magazine spread, you're going to need it to one side, the words, or the header to one side. So
yeah. Thank God for Photoshop now.
Yep. Oh shoot, the way it stepped up, the AI and Lightroom even that takes out people. I was playing with some SEMA images and was like, I took people out of the background and it recreated the background. I'm like,
yeah.
How the hell did it do that? Like, that's crazy to me that the computers are taking over that.
Oh yeah, I can't even tell you how many vehicles I took out of my SEMA photos. Like doing group photos and just doing like just single shots and stuff.
Yeah.
I spent so long just taking vehicles out of the background of the photos. But you know what? That's the way you set yourself apart from other people too, is those little details. Because some amateur, some just viewer or the client, they'd be like, oh, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. But me as a creative, you want to have the best quality product. So you take that extra time, you go the extra mile, you take everything out, make everything nice and very clean. And I think that's the best bang for your buck.
And I'm on the same ways. Like when I shoot a feature or something, like I'm cleaning up the ground. When I was editor, like I have people send me stuff. And I'm like, can you at least like take the Mountain Dew bottle out of the background? Like it's in the bush behind you. I see it. Like that's an easy click and you're done. Like super easy. And it's just a lot of guys still don't do that. So, which I think is something that sets yours apart because yours are always almost like the background's not real, but I know the background's real.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I even surprise myself too, because I think it was Ashley Wheeler that I shot in Tennessee, where it had like the mountain, the black, and I think it's like a lime green.
Yeah. The tennis ball.
Man, those pictures literally look like they're just AI generated. And, I'm taking the photos and I'm like, yeah, these would be pretty cool. And then I go to edit them and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I created, like a canvas right here. And it's really cool because you get to manipulate things and make them your own.
How often are you like me where you shoot something, you go, this shoot was absolutely terrible, and you go to edit it and you're like, oh, it's great. Or this shoot was great and you get back and you're like, man, this shoot was terrible.
All the time still. I feel like I have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes because I'm like, I don't even think this photo shoot is going to look good. Like, I don't even know what I was doing sometimes. I'm like, you sometimes you get harsh lighting or you get no clouds in the sky, stuff like that. And you're taking the photos and you're like, I hope this is good. Like, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but sometimes I'm like, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And then they go in and edit them. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I shouldn't have been stressing.
Now you shoot pretty much all day long. Cause like I'm a sunrise sunset shooter.
Yeah, I really need to dial that in. Because I don't think it's a good thing to be like an all day shooter. Cause for my specific style, I feel like either sunrise and then sunset. I mean, those are the best time for like my style of shooting.
Yeah.
because I love gloomy skies. I love that nice even lighting. And then when it's just super harsh out, it's not I can still shoot in it, but it's not my preference, I would say.
Well, it's like out in the desert. There's no place in the country you can shoot like out in the desert. The sunsets and sunrises are just ridiculous. The way it reflects off the sand and the
Yep.
mountains, like that's my favorite place to shoot.
Yeah. Oh, I love the desert. I know this year at SEMA, I did 17 photo shoots in one day. I think I had 2 5-minute breaks to eat half of a burger and to sit on the trailer and talk for 5 minutes. But you know what? I mean, that's just the name of the game. Sometimes, I mean, just like being a pro, you got to suck it up. If you want to make money, if you want to have goals that you want to accomplish, suck it up. Do what you have to do and just keep moving. But
Now,
once I stop moving, I'm done.
now, now, when did you get into doing stuff for companies and magazines and stuff? Like, do you remember that first shoot that was a print or a corporate gig like that?
Oh, absolutely. So the first time that I had a front page cover was I shot it in Atlantic City Truck Meet. I didn't know it was going to be a front cover. I had no idea. You know, I was just doing my thing and just doing the typical routine
Yeah.
of doing photo shoots. So I shot Calvin, Cal's Customs. I shot his Louis Vuitton. I think it's the 3500 or the 2500 Ram, the one that's like the blue and chromed
Yeah.
out. It's a beautiful truck. But I shot
Now,
that.
were you at Atlantic City for yourself, or were you there shooting for somebody?
No, so I was there. Oh man, that year I was shooting for different companies because I work a lot with TIS wheels.
Yeah.
So the TIS will hire me and they'll be like, "Hey, we want event coverage." But I go to the shows with obviously with some contract work. But while I'm there, I mean, I make it happen. If I don't have a whole lot of work, I'll go there and make it happen and talk with people and be like, "Hey, how can I help you? What can I do? Like how can I make money at those shows?" So that's the biggest thing. And I really like to help people and make sure that they get a top dollar type of product.
Was TIS the first corporate shoot you did?
Yes, actually, yeah. TIS Wheels would be the first magazine cover that I did. And that was actually, they released that for their SEMA edition of Lift and Leveled, for, I think it was 2023 or 20, yeah, I think it was 2023 for 2023 SEMA.
How'd you get hooked up with them?
So honestly, Cal's, man, I did a little bit of work with them, I think SEMA 2022. And then I kind of got in with like their show season. So whatever shows they were at, I'd be like, "Hey, I'll do your photo coverages." And then I started getting into video a little bit more. So then I started doing all their event video coverage too.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And I know Cal's of Cal's Customs, he helped me so much getting in with TIS. And I'm sure there's so many other people that, talk about me behind closed doors, but I know he's one of the really big people that vouched for me and, really got my foot in the door with TIS because they saw how hard I worked. I was doing 30, 45-second reels, same day turnaround. And it was a lot of work. I'd be in their trailer just editing away. They'd be like, "Adam, you still in here?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm still editing."
I know. I've seen you several times sitting there at Starbucks at SEMA. So
Yep.
it's like the
Yeah,
show's out here.
Yeah, I was doing their content actually. I did 3 videos that morning for them. I was in Starbucks for like 3-4 hours of like the morning of SEMA.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to do sometimes.
So you said Lift and Leveled was your first cover that you had done. Was that your first print magazine article?
I had one. I think it was 1 or 2 other prints. There was one for like Full Throttle Battery that I shot for SMG that they got in there.
Okay.
And then there was one from the previous SEMA that I shot for. It was like an odor control thing. Some guy had a really, really nice bagged out Mustang. And surprisingly, I got my photos in a magazine. I didn't even know. I mean, I took the photos just for fun. And he was like, "Hey, send me those." And I did. And he sent me a message, I think like 6 months later. He's like, "Hey, your photos made it to a magazine." I was like, "Oh my God." That was my first time.
So how many, you said you've been doing this 4 years?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is crazy because like you've blown up over those last 4 years. You've definitely made a presence for yourself in the truck community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And I think
you do most of the lifted truck stuff is where your bread and butter is at that point, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That and also models too, because I'm really good at working with the women and posing them, being dumb and showing them how to do the poses and stuff like that. And, just not being a creep. It's not hard to just make them feel comfortable and just be a friend.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a lot of where my stuff came from. But the lifted truck scene, I feel like I came in and I was different. I was a different style than everybody else. I was a different character than everybody else because I'm more of like the outgoing. I make pretty crazy jokes, and then like I am who I am, and that'll never change. People just have to accept me for who I am,
In,
and I get that from my family.
in our industry, you have to be outgoing because if you're not, you're never gonna have business.
Absolutely. And that's what people kind of gravitated towards too, is honestly a lot of word of mouth. Because if you're a good person, you provide a good quality content, and like you're easy to get along with, I feel like you're always gonna have work. And if you don't, that's kind of your fault. That at the
Yep.
end of the day, that's on you. If you can't make it work, that's your fault. You gotta want it more, you gotta hit up more people. You have to figure out the ways to change your life for yourself because nobody else really should do it for you. You should be the only one in control of that. So I went into the truck scene with kind of that mentality of, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to meet these people that I hope will help me change my life and, build relationships that aren't fake and build relationships that are, that are true relationships and things that are going to help me go down the road and be like, all right, this is what I needed.
In the current state of how the world is and technology and all that, it seems anybody can either pick up their iPhone or go buy a camera or whatever, and
Yep.
now they're a quote unquote photographer.
Yeah.
Very few people like you that start and then immediately blow up like that. It's almost like you have more drive than some, because I've seen so many people in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years just, oh, I'm a photographer and this and that, and you look at their stuff and you're like, so you always shoot in the dark? Like, do you
Yep.
always shoot the shadow? Like there's nothing that's wow about it. It's all almost garbage photos, but they're in their mind a top-notch photographer. Where then on the other end, you have you that just blew up and then have your own style that's basically taking over the lifted truck world.
Yeah, and I think that really contributes to, just wanting to be different. I think at the end of the day, you need to be different. And a lot of these people come in, they're like, oh, I have a camera. I'm going to do so well. I'm going to start charging these people what the professionals are charging. It's like, you can't do that. Honestly, I feel like you have to come in and you have to make a name for yourself. Charge maybe a little bit here and there, even do some free shoots.
Yep.
But you have to build those connections. You can't just come in and be like, oh, I'm going to start charging $300 and I just started. And, start screwing people over and getting a bad name for yourself. I mean, even the 4 years that I've seen countless people come in and they think they're big shit. And then they phase out after a year and it's like, all right, well, I mean, another one bites the dust. But the biggest thing is just having drive. I feel like that really lacks, even with my generations and the younger generation nowadays, is people they think everything should be handed to them.
Yep.
And nothing should ever be handed to you. I feel like you need to work your ass off to be that person that people look up to and be like, how did he get there? What's he doing to be better and do better? I think that's one thing that people really lack, even the truck community and just overall photography. You need to be different to stand out.
Well, I know when I first started doing it, I was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and then I would be gone every weekend doing photos, but I had that drive. I'm like, I gotta go. And I tell people, if I'm not making money today, I did something wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
And so many people, especially your age and younger, no offense to your age, but it's your age and younger that think, well, I make enough. I made $200 this week. I'm good. And it's like, no, because I want more and better. And let's go.
Yeah, you should be aiming to double. I mean, at least even make the same amount that you did last week or double it, triple it. Like there needs to be goals that you need to hit for yourself. Obviously, being a photographer, it's a little difficult because, you'll have an event, like I'll go do 10 photo shoots in the weekend. And it's like, I have to go edit those.
Yeah.
And, that when you're editing, you're not making money for those days. So you really have to obviously you have to time manage, make those count. And 10 photo shoots probably take me 2-3 days. So those 2 or 3 days, I don't have things coming in. But luckily for me, I have the graphic design side. So when I'm not doing the photography work, I can just rely on graphic design to be like, all right, well, I just edited photos for 8 hours today. Let me go hop on and do, 4 hours more graphic design, go make that money that I needed to for that day and move on.
And that drive right there, that like I said, a lot of the younger crowd just don't have. They want the money, but they don't want to put the work in.
Yeah, because I mean, lately this month I've had so many 15, 16 hour days where I mean, I need to. I had to edit. I'll go edit 300 photos and then I'll go work until 3 a.m. and go do a bunch of design work and go knock out like 3 or 4 design projects. At least get my proofs out, make my customers happy,
Yeah.
and I'm a one man show. That all I have to depend on is me, because I've tried to have employees and stuff like that, but like you're saying, nobody has the drive that you will ever have. And people want to take breaks. They want to be like, well, I think I should be paid this, or I think I should be paid more. And it's like, but if you want to be paid what I'm being paid, go start your company. Go pay all my fees. Go get your clients. Go do all this. And it's not easy.
Yep. The travel and
Oh, especially travel. It's expensive.
I mean, I stayed with a buddy for a week when I was in Vegas the week after SEMA, and he's in his shop, cutting and welding, building a show truck. And I'm sitting there on the laptop playing, doing whatever. And I'd get up and film some for him and go finish editing. But it's like,
Yep.
there's no downtime. And I'm still playing catch up from SEMA.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a to-do list. I'm like, am I going to get it done?
Yeah, I think I actually, it's funny. I literally just finished all my SEMA content this morning. I just did my last video. I think I don't have the exact numbers, but for SEMA, I think I did, roughly 30 plus photo shoots. I did, I think, 15 in show photo shoots, and then I did around, I think, 10 plus videos for like in show like trucks and also trucks in the desert. So I had a lot on my plate. I think I edited around 2,600 photos.
I feel like I'm doing something wrong now. Like that's.
Well,
I had a handful of shoots, but nowhere near 30.
Well, it's funny. I think I had about 40 something last year, and it's just, what the biggest thing that I like to do is I like to build with the team managers too, with the build managers, and that way, you have a solid amount of people that they'll send over to you and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I need to shoot this truck for the sponsors, stuff like that. And obviously, they pay me for the time and everything, but those people always come back around, and you're helping all of their brands grow. So, I get that. And then I work a lot with TIS Wheels too. So I'll do a lot of their feature photo shoots. And, I feel like I am that reliable person where they know that I'm always going to do a great job. I'll always have a extremely great customer, correspondence and relations to where they never have to worry about me. They just be like, hey, here's a number, go text them, go set it up. And
Yeah.
I'm always that reliable person, which is hard to find.
I told my wife, I said, I'm surprised TIS didn't send the Tahoe out to get shot or something. She was like, you realize that they know you can send them whatever they need.
Yeah, you shoot yourself in the foot with that one. That actually would have been awesome to shoot the Tahoe. That would have looked, I bet it looks so good in the desert.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I've had, Dale shot one of the first SEMA truck I did was the first year he was at SEMA working like that. I had Brian McGee shoot the wife Subaru and we had it the second year, and then he shot the Ram. So, I mean, even as a photographer, I like seeing other people's shoots, because whether I shoot it here or in Vegas or wherever, it's still going to look like my shots.
Oh yeah.
You could shoot it here, Vegas, wherever, and it's going to look like yours.
It'll look completely different.
Yep.
Because everybody has different angles, different coloring, stuff like that. So
you could shoot at the same location I was shooting it side by side, and the photos would be completely different.
Completely different. And I love that though, because like everybody expresses art a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best part about automotive as well, is that there's so much you can do with it. There's so many different styles, and there's so many different little details and ways to capture essentially to capture your art, because everything should be art.
For sure. So thinking of art on the graphic side, what all do you do with the graphic side? I know you've done some stuff, recently with Showdown in the Valley, but what is your main graphic? I know you design wraps. I'm like, what's your?
So a lot of my stuff is I really love the full business branding. So like I literally do everything, like everything there is to brand a business or what you need. I've done a lot of different things. So, but I really love the vehicle wraps. I really love the show branding. And then I really love the full business branding of, creating somebody's vision for what they have, because the biggest step of a company, in my opinion, is the logo. That's the one thing that's going to set you apart from all your competition. And also your branding is going to set you apart from your competition too. So that's one of the biggest things, or that's one of the most I would say one of the most rewarding things that you can do in my field is just branding a whole business, doing their logos, doing their social media branding, doing their business cards, their postcards, their shirt designs. You can do their hats. You can do their banners. You can do their stickers. There's so many different things to help them and be like, hey, here's your kickstart to your company. Now you can go grow the business with all the marketing materials that I've given you. And
Now
I think that's one of the best
you
things.
do more than just automotive world when it comes to the graphic design and branding side of it, don't you?
Oh, I do everything. Yep. I did whenever I started the company, I did a lot of like sublimation shirts. So like I actually designed, this shirt myself, or this hoodie that I designed this. And whenever I worked for them, man, I was doing, five to 10 shirts a week, just designing them for different businesses and stuff like that. So then a lot of this stuff is transferred to the automotive world where people go set up the booths. So
Yeah.
I'll do the full booth setups. I'll do their shirt designs. I'll do like their new business cards. People need to go to shows. I'll do the postcards for when they need to do handouts at shows for their show. They need like the 4x6 postcards and be like, hey, go order me 2,500. I'm gonna go hand these out at the show all weekend. So it's really rewarding getting to do what I do. Honestly, in both aspects of doing the graphic design and the photography, because you get to help so many people, and I think that's really the best thing that you could do in business.
Do you do a lot of like local business stuff, or are you more in the or try to stay more in the automotive world?
I don't, I actually, that's one goal that I have for next year is to do more local things. Because a lot of my stuff isn't particularly local. It's really word of mouth. Word of mouth is huge for me just because people are like, hey, I have this reliable guy. Just go hit him up. He'll take care of you. But lately, a ton of my work is from automotive world. Just because I've made so many connections doing photo shoots and, just meeting people, shaking hands.
Yeah.
There's so many people that I've met through other people that I've done a photo shoot for, and I'm like, hey, if you have a business, you got a badass truck, if you have a business that funds this, let me know. I'm your guy. I can help you, brand your business and use these photos for your business too. I'm like, if you need a write off, I got you.
Especially this time of year, everybody's trying to find that last little bit of write off. So
Yeah, people are getting like the tent setups and stuff. We're like, hey, I got to spend some money. Like, let me know how much you need.
So, where do you see your company going? I know it's just you, but where do you see your brand, I guess you could say, going in the next couple years? Are you going to push more towards the photography side? Are you going to stick or go more towards the graphic design side?
So I've been a graphic designer for like 10 plus years. I've been getting to the point where I really want to just do the photo and video full time. Travel the world for free, make money obviously while doing it, getting so many different experiences while making money. And it's not even work though. It doesn't feel like work when
Yep.
I'm doing photo and video. When I'm doing graphic design at a desk, it's like, oh, I got to go to my desk and go knock out some design work. It's like, it's great, but I love the photo and video. That is definitely, I think some people don't know what they want to do in life, and I found what I want to do in life, which is the photo and video. I found what makes me, when you get that warm fuzzy feeling inside of you, that and like you just get that adrenaline boost. That's what photo and video does for me, and that's definitely what I want to pursue more. So obviously go to the shows, go have my booth set up, which I'm a little different. So I'm a photographer in the truck scene, but I also have my booth where I have a printer and frames inside of the booth.
I've seen
And
that.
I go take pictures at the show, edit them in the booth, print them and frame them right there in the booth. Because not a lot of people even have pictures of their vehicles, hung up on their wall. So that's something that I can offer my badass photos, while also, they get something to go hang up in their man cave or in their, in their house somewhere.
Yep.
And that's
Over
really
the head
the main part. Yeah, yeah. I had some guy tell me, he's like, I'm gonna go replace this with the family photo. And I was like, probably shouldn't do that.
So you fortunately started out, I guess, by yourself doing your own thing.
Yep.
Where I went 25 plus years of busting my butt every day to work to do that on the side. And I finally, 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, said, that's it. I'm doing my own thing. I wish I could have done what you did at your age and do it. There's so many times I almost pulled the plug from a full-time job, but
Yep.
like I was making too good. It was a weekly paycheck. I didn't
Yep.
have to wait. Like I've got a stack of invoices now in QuickBooks of stuff I'm waiting to get paid on. Cause you know,
Same.
client magazine stuff usually don't pay quick, but to have that weekly paycheck and the insurance, like that was big. It's like I was in a place where I could step away and be like, all right, I'm doing my own thing. And that's the best thing I could have done. So I highly commend you for starting that from day one and not, you know, yours is completely opposite of my story.
Well, it's funny too, because when I worked for a company, dude, I think I was making like $350, $400 a week working, you know, honestly working, because I'm a very hard worker, especially when I work for other people. I was that workhorse person where like, you tell me what to do, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to do it to the fullest ability that I possibly can.
Yeah.
So when I was working for, I mean, honestly, for change at that point, I was working paycheck to paycheck, even, you know, even splitting rent with two other people. I was still, you know, working paycheck to paycheck, but I was always that one person who would make it happen. So I would work my 9 to 5, and then I would go home and work more on my personal projects so I can make more income, you know, keep those clients that I've always had, just because like my local area has always known me as like the graphic designer. I've always been that reliable person for people. And, you know, that one person to be like, hey, if you want some good stuff, go to Adam. So that's one thing that really helped me out. And then, you know, I was working at a wrap shop for a while, and I hit that gray area between the company of like, hey, I'm doing stuff at home, you know, or I was doing stuff at work, and then I'd go home and do my own stuff. They're like, well, we kind of want you to bring that here to make this company money. And I was like, that doesn't help my bills. That only gives you guys more money. So, you know, at the end of the day, I got fired because I was just kind of crossing that gray line. And, you know, it was a very emotional time for me, just because, you know, I'm not the type of person that likes letting people down. I'm unfortunately a people pleaser by heart from my family. So when I did that, whenever I got fired, you know, I went and talked to my mom, which is, you know, one of my best friends. And I was like, I don't really know what to do. I was like, I want to start my business, but I'm worried. I'm scared that, you know, it's not going to take off, or that I'm just going to be struggling. And she's like, you know what? She's like, you've been working so hard. Like you need to take the step. She's like, if you don't take the step now, you're not going to take the step later. So
you'll be like me.
So I took that step, and you know what's crazy is I haven't had a slow day in 4 years. Like ever since I started the company, I've never had a slow day. I think I've maybe only had a few days where I could actually do like personal projects. So I'm very thankful for that, but I know I've worked my ass off day in and day out to, you know, make it happen. Because if I don't make it happen, that's my fault.
I guess that would be your suggestion to anybody else that's coming up that's wanting to do their own thing like this, is to just bust buttons, don't stop.
Exactly. You know, go post in all your local groups, go talk to people, go to shows, go put yourself in front of people. So like whenever I was doing the car shows, I didn't even have my company yet. I was taking photos of the vehicles, getting their Instagram and sending them their photos of their vehicle. And that's how they got to know me. And then, you know, if they like the photos, be like, hey, well, I mean, if you want to set up a photo shoot, you know, here's my contact information. We can set something up. But that's a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was never, ever that person. I was never a person where I could go talk to people. I was an extreme introvert when I was younger. So that's why I gamed a lot. That's why I did graphic design. That's why I did all that, because I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to hang out with people. So as I've gotten older and I started my business, I was like, I need to change. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
If I want to make money, I want to make a future for myself, you know, for the long run, then I need to change. I need to be a better person. I need to learn how to talk to people. I need to learn how to not be weird. So
I think we all need to learn how to not be weird.
Yeah, it took me a while. I mean, I started flourishing probably around, you know, after my 20s, after high school. High school was just, I don't know, I was like an introvert, and I didn't really care about a lot of stuff. I was just kind of to myself and wasn't a cliquey type of person. And I was like, I'm going to make stuff happen no matter what. And that's what my parents have really taught me. And they're like, you never give up. If you really want something, there's no way you can ever give up on it.
See, now seeing like you saying you posted or shared stuff to people's Instagram or whatever, like I didn't have that option back when I started. Like there wasn't the social media like that. Like there was some, but not like it is now. Yep. I mean, there was a couple of websites like Street Source we would get on and stuff like that, but there's not that kind of direct access. Like you can't walk up when I started, they didn't have their Instagram sticker on the side of the car. You couldn't message them and say, "Who are you?" You just had to figure out who they were. And there was a lot of, well, whose truck is this? This is who I am. Can I shoot it? And they'd be, "Who are you?"
Yeah, no, 100%. I got that all the time because, like, obviously the car scene is pretty niche. You had your people who are the people. So they'd be like, who the hell is this random ass guy coming in and wanting to send me photos? And then they'd see the photos and be like, okay, I mean, it's decent. I mean, that was like, yeah, it's height. That was back in the day where, I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So nowadays, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still do it. Even if I really like a car or a truck, I'll go send them free photos because I'm like, hey, badass truck, here's some photos for you.
Yeah.
And that's just how you also get noticed by people. Put yourself out there. Because people won't know about you until they see your face, they see your name, until you make the decision to go after them.
And you always stand out at shows. You've always got your full printed shirts on. Like, always. You know who you are across the parking lot.
Yep, I got the big CC shield, and that's branding has always been very, very important for me. Branding is everything, because that's the only way people are going to notice you. Just like when you do vehicle wrap design, people don't notice that vehicle wrap until they see it about 2 or 3 times. So once people see me about 2 or 3 times walking by their booth or going through, hold my camera up way high so nobody punches my camera,
yeah,
people will be like, who is that guy? And then they'll look me up, and I have a portfolio on Instagram, so they're like, all right, he's legit. He knows what he's doing.
Do you do wraps as well, or just the design?
Oh, just the design. No, the wraps, fuck that. I ain't doing that. I've tried it, and no bueno. It's not for me.
That's a whole different skill set there. So
that is a whole different skill set. I'm there's a reason why my fingers are on keyboard and not on tools.
So if there's something that you could say that you've always wanted to shoot, or always a certain type of vehicle or whatever, do you have like your bucket list of what you want to have in front of your camera?
Oh, actually, what's funny? The like the Baja trophy trucks.
Yeah.
That is my number one thing I have always wanted to shoot, because I love the sketchy stuff. I love, being like in the desert. I had someone doing a donut around me taking photos, and I love the sketchy stuff. I love the adrenaline rush. I love just getting that dump of energy and be like, oh my God, I'm so ready to do more.
Well, and it sounds like you need to go find some of those takeover events then. And just
hell no.
Hellcat.
But the trophy trucks are something I've always wanted to. I just want to see them. I just want to see them, going through the desert and stuff like that. And then also in like the car world, I really want to do like F1 or even a drift event or something like that. Like, I love the adrenaline, fast paced, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Where, you have a few tries to get that right shot. And I think that's where that's where your true creativeness and your passion comes in, is having those few seconds to capture something amazing. So that would definitely be a bucket list.
Well, tell the listeners how they find you to keep up with some of your work.
So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Creative Customs FL. I try to post almost daily on my Facebook and Instagram, and then like my personal Facebook is a lot of just like motivational stuff. I post a lot of my personal photos, stuff like that. So if you ever want to see some badass stuff, you go check out my Facebook and Instagram.
So is that how people get a hold of you if they want to book you for something?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And then all my contact information is on there. You can hit me, shoot me over an email, and that's the easiest way to keep my big old head organized.
The contact info being like on Instagram is something that's always kind of almost scared me, because we were running to SEMA one year coming through Amarillo. My phone rings, some random number, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. I'm like, hey, and they're like, yeah, I just passed you on I-40 going the other way. Would you mind stopping? Let me check out the truck. I've been following the build. And I'm like, sorry, man, I'm on a deadline. I can't. And after that, the wife's like, you're not posting where we're stopping, what city. She goes, you can post when we leave the next morning. She goes, don't do anything to show where we're at. She goes, you're going to wake up and the truck be gone or something.
That's funny. There's always that risk. I mean, even being a business owner and having all your information everywhere,
yep,
there's definitely that risk of like psychos coming in and be like, hey, I know where you are. And
Yep.
it's like, I don't know you. I've only had that one time because I have my truck fully wrapped out the back window and everything. I've only had one road rage incident. So not bad. Not bad in about 2 year span.
In Florida, that's not bad.
It could definitely be worse.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. I've been trying to get some of the fellow photographers that I look up to, and like I said, I definitely look up to your style because I can't create it. So to hear kind of some of the insight on how you do what you do is kind of cool. Glad we finally synced up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and this is awesome. I definitely want to, at some point, even come back again and we could do a little rerun and have a little life update for both of us.
Well, we need to see some more of your process. I love those videos you do that shows, your process, all the time lapse stuff, and it's like I've tried to do a couple of those. I'm like, watch it and go, why did he do this? That was dumb.
Yeah, some people, everyone has a different process, and like you even said, you're like, I never even thought about selecting a windshield and making the windshield darker and stuff like that. It's just little tricks that I have picked up myself. I'm like, I like this, it may not be for everybody, but I mean, I like it. And like I said, art is subjective. So that's definitely a huge goal for 2025 is to do more informational things and share my knowledge, because there's no point of having all that knowledge in my big ass head and not sharing it with everybody. I think that's the true happiness in life, is helping others.
Well, like I said, appreciate you coming on, and I guess we'll see you at a show coming up, man.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right, man.
Thanks, guys.